Hello everyone, greetings from Indonesia. I'm Dedy Kurniawan and you are watching my pre-recorded video specially prepared for ASIATEFL 2021 in India. It is very unfortunate that today we cannot physically attend the conference. However, this presentation is hoped to be a representation of us and our research project. So the title of our research is Learning Portfolio as Indicators of Student-Teachers' Competencies in an English Teacher Training Program, Lecturers' Perspectives. But first of all, allow me to introduce the member of our research team. So I'm Dedy Kurniawan, and this is Indri Anastasia. And then we have Doni Efriza, and last but not least, one of our students, Mutia Rahmadani. And we are all from English Education Department, Universitas Jambi, Indonesia, or we'll make it short as English Unja. So let me start with a little background of why we are doing this research. First of all, we realized in the era of Industrial Revolution 4.0, evidences of one's competencies are more preferred than mere GPA. Meaning that if you graduate from the university with high GPA, it's not a guarantee that you will get a better job than those who can show the evidence of their competencies through products and some other kinds of portfolio. And this is also in line with the vision of our department, English Unja, to prepare the competent, quality, and competitive graduates, meaning that we are expecting to create or to produce the graduates that can compete in the labor market. And then we also realize that portfolio is one of the most popular alternative assessment and that can serve as powerful tool to indicate our students' competencies. Through the portfolio, we believe that the students will be able to show the evidence of their competencies and then to apply for a good job in the real world. However, the nature of and the extent to which portfolio has been implemented in our department and the lecturer's perspective on the portfolio have yet to be explored. We still don't know the characteristics and the nature of how it is implemented in our study program, and thus we are trying to do some initial exploration of this matter. And then what remains as a question is what is the potential use of digital portfolio at our department. Okay, so we utilize two research questions to guide the process of our research. Number one is, how is learning portfolio implemented in English Education Department Unja or English Unja? And what are the lecturers' perspective of using portfolio as indicators of student competencies in the program? There are some theories that serve as the foundation of our research. Number one, the definition of learning portfolio as a collection of student works supported with reflection, and portfolio has a potential as evidences of achievement in a given area over a time period. And also, we realize the reflective nature of portfolio, and we believe that it is a key to learners' development. And also, we quote some research about the types of portfolio that can be divided into product and process portfolio, and also the framework of Cradle by Gottlieb 2000 that we are going to use as the framework of our analysis later. In terms of method, our research belongs to descriptive qualitative research. I aim at exploring and describing the lecturer's perspective on the use of digital learning portfolio at English Unja. To collect the data, as a main instrument, we use in-depth interview, and then we selected 6 participants coming from English department, 6 lecturers teaching various subjects in English Unja, in English language skills courses, TEFL courses, and so on and so forth. And then we implemented semi-structured interview guided by an interview protocol. And then at the end of our research, we also did a triangulation by means of doing focus group discussion, or FGD, to validate and to triangulate the result of our analysis. And then how do we analyze the data? First of all, we recorded the interviews and then we transcribed it fully as the basis of our analysis. And then we did a thematic analysis. We analyzed the data thematically. And then some important themes were selected and discussed in this presentation. Actually, we found a couple of important things that we would like to discuss. However, due to the limitation of the presentation, I would like to limit that into 3 points only that we consider as pertinent to this presentation. So we found 3 important themes as shown here, and I'm going to discuss them deeply in the next section. Okay, so how do they perceive the portfolio? First of all, I would like to talk about the experience of the lecturers, and then we found 2 common use of portfolios devised in our department. The first one is called portfolio as a product, in which one artifact is collected from one instructional unit, meaning that in some courses where the students have to complete several instructional units, let's say for example 10 units, they have to create one product and one artifact as proof of achieving that kind of that competency. So in that case, the lecturers collected multiple products. However, we can also see portfolio is used as a process in which only one artifact or one document is collected in a whole course. In that case, the lecturers usually use the so-called multiple drafts, meaning that they only require one product, but they want the product to be compiled in terms of multiple drafts, yeah, along with the revision and editing process and so on and so forth. However, we also found from the interviewees that a product portfolio dominated the practice at English Unja. And then the question is why? There are some possible explanations that we can offer in this presentation. The first one is probably to the nature of or characteristic of the courses. So each course has its own characteristic that may influence how or what kind of portfolio mode that the lecturers choose. For example, in writing courses, we found out that because the lecturers teach the student how to write a single article, and they have to revise it again and again until they reach the final product. So it is usually indicated by the use of process portfolio. Okay, and then while in some other courses, probably product portfolio is more appropriate for as the nature of the course guide. And then the second explanation is probably related to the complexity caused by process portfolio. In order to create a process portfolio, the students have to collect multiple drafts, and in between the drafts there should be revision, suggestion, editing process and so forth. That will cause more activities or more burdens to both the students and the teachers, and probably that hampers them from using this kind of portfolio. And then the second theme that we found from this research is portfolio is an indicator of student competencies. Even though it is possible to observe the student competencies upon completion of a course or a program, there is still some doubt from the lecturers whether it can really represent or reflect the students' best efforts, because in some courses they only collected whatever products the students have already created. They don't really select from different products. And then the interview also suggested that it takes time to improve one's competencies in a certain area. So they have to select from multiple evidences and then try to select the best that they can really represent students' exemplary works, and it takes time to do that. And then the third findings that we derive from the research is the limited implementation of portfolio. So we found out that only few courses or only few lecturers implement portfolio. That's why one of the problem that we face during the research is that the difficulty in finding the participant that really implemented portfolio. And even when they implemented portfolio, it is not really designed systematically, and we will see later that it is somewhat incomplete. Only small part of what constituted real portfolio was implemented in the course. What do I mean by the real portfolio? So there is a framework called Cradle, devised by Gottlieb 2000. That portfolio is ideally consisted of collecting, reflecting, assessing, documenting, and linking, abbreviated as Cradle. However, we found that in the practice of using portfolio in the classes, the lecturers do not really implement all of this. They specifically focus on collecting, assessing, and documenting, while neglecting some other aspect of portfolio. We found out that portfolio implementation was dominated by collecting, documenting, and assessing. And we found very rare cases of reflecting and evaluating. So only in a few instances can we find the reflection process included in the development of a portfolio. And even it is very rare to find evaluation process take place after the class, stating whether the students really achieved the competencies or not. And then even worse, we find that no systematic effort of linking the portfolio either with the other courses or with the real world. And then we also found out that collecting and documenting are usually done either paper-based or digital-based. So in some instances, the lecturers ask the students to collect the paper. This is especially true for writing-based classes. And then some others ask them to create digital-based portfolio. Some use or implement blogs, websites, or even some of them, depending on the courses, ask the students to create their own YouTube channel and then create the playlist, including the result of their courses. And then the assessment, if really done, was done by the lecturers or sometimes by peers through peer review process. However, no specific rubric is devised. Rather, they only see the result of the portfolio through the completion point of view. So not really the quality. And then there is no effort made to link portfolio between courses, meaning that the lecturers did not really connect one portfolio from one course to another portfolio from another course. And even they do not really implement the linking in the of the portfolio to the outside of the classroom. Therefore, we can conclude that portfolio was considered to be a mere document collection without meaning-making activities, or let's say contextless, meaning the portfolio is done and that's done. So now, what can we learn from the findings? There are a couple of things that we noted from the result of the research. Number one, we realized even though portfolio was implemented in English department, in our department, the quantity and the quality of the portfolio are relatively low. And then the lecturers, the interviewee, realized the importance of portfolio. However, to implement it completely and ideally requires a deeper understanding, a better attitude, and also more effort from the sides of the lecturers. And then we also see the potential of digitization of portfolio, because it may serve as a solution to the problems faced by the lecturers, particularly in the terms of collecting and documenting and also assessing and evaluating, and at the end linking the portfolio with other or linking portfolio to the job work. And then portfolio can also be seen as having a potential to be an indicator of students' competencies, and thus serve as a currency in the future, meaning that they can use the portfolio to connect with their future career. They can use the evidences of their competencies in order to trade for a certain occupation or certain job. However, the portfolio, the scope of the portfolio and the content should also be improved, and uniform action should be done at the program level, meaning our department should have or should devise a certain guideline or a certain platform that can be used together as a program. Then I come to the conclusion. There are 2 points. Learning portfolio has been implemented at English Unja, even though very limited and still not perfect. And learning portfolio has also potential to be used as indicators of student competencies, with possibility to connect it with the job market, under the condition that we make some improvement in the future. So here comes my recommendation and suggestion. Theoretically, there are a lot of things that we can still explore in terms of the use of portfolio. Number one, we can also we need to consider student perspective on the portfolio, and this is what we are going to do in the near future. And then we also need to consider about the effectiveness of portfolio. And then I'm interested in learning about the long-term consequences of portfolio, how it can be connected with the market. And then our practical recommendation and suggestion includes the needs to develop the guidelines for portfolio implementation in our department, as well as digital form of platform of portfolio. So we have to think about developing these 2 things in order to support the portfolio learning in our department. I think that's my presentation. Thank you very much for watching until the end, and see you again in the near future.